Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Rotary Mental Health Third Thursday talk. So this week, our topic is covering around this suicide prevention and very specifically cover on this our career and our workplace. So without saying too much, I would rather put the spotlights towards our panelists and our as well as our moderator. That is what we want to know more about the information on how to prevent and what is the issue in this current market. So let me share you our moderator. She is Manjari. She is the chartered psychologist with over 29 years of experience in multiple areas, such as clinical, academic, and administrations of experience, and working with a lot of groups, people like children, adolescents, and as well as adults. Not only that, she is also this applied psychologist in clinical practice at Glen Eagle Medicine Hospital, as well as a consultant clinical psychologist at Kensington Green Specialist Center in Johor Bahru. So anyone in Johor, you can look for her. And she is also the same time a student as a Dean of Students Affairs at this Newcastle University Medicine in Malaysia. So she is really a great student as well as she likes to study a lot. What she did more is she did her master in applied psychology in clinical area and subspecialist in mental retardation from this University of Madras, India. Wow, she spent so much time in providing her services as well as studying. And she is really a very hyper lady, I would say. At the same time, she is very active in participating in NGOs. Especially her compassion is promoting the psychosocial well-being for children, Alzheimer, and single mothers, and more. So with that, she's also an active Rotarian. She is a Rotarian in this Rotary Club of Johor Bahru, as well as this National Coalition for this mental well-being. And not only that, I don't know how she really spent her time and manage her time. She also write a lot and publication her sharing or ideas. And her topic covers around mental retardation, pedagogy, and as well as communication skills. So with that, she also an active member of this Malaysian Psychological Associations and many, many more clubs that she's too heavy for me to read. So with that, I would rather bring her on screen, Manjari, so that everyone, you can look at her. If you have any question, she is a very good person that you can connect to, especially in Johor. So people from Johor, you are so lucky. So with that, can we bring Manjari on stage?
Okay, thank you, Eileen, for those sweet words. Hi, everyone. Good evening, and we are here for our third session in this series of suicide prevention. So today we will be focusing on career and work life. So our panelists, we have three panelists today, and I think I will go with the first lady here. Okay, her name is Hari Dehan. I don't know if I got it right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Okay, so she has more than 20 years of experience in the mental health service industry, having held positions in both hospital and community settings in the UK, Singapore, and Malaysia. Her area of expertise is the recovery model of mental health, goal setting, and resilience building. She's passionate about promoting mental health at the workplace. She's currently a corporate trainer in well-being and mental health. Her previous clients included Singapore Changi Prison, Dush Bank, and Channel News Asia. Harry is the author of the self-help book entitled You Can Be Your Best, which is stocked at the National Library of Singapore and sold in Kinokuniya bookstore. She has a BA in nursing, specializing in mental and is certified by the Institute of Human Resource Professional, Singapore. Harry is the founder of Recover Now PLT, a Malaysian registered entity specializing in training, mental resilience at the workplace, employee assistance program, and mental health retreats. Thank you, Harry, for being part of this noble task and for being our panelist for today.
Thank you.
All right, so we go to the second panelist, who is Mr. Povindran, who is from Newcastle University. So just give me a minute. I'm pulling out his profile basically. So, okay, so, right. Okay, so Mr. Povindran, he's the Deputy Chief Operating Officer. Welcome, Mr. Povindran. So his background, COO. He's responsible for several critical operational functions with Newcastle University Medicine Malaysia, which is known as NewMed's professional services. So his role requires him to provide strategic leadership, mainly to facilities, library, information services, security people services, and health and safety department and its team. So he has more than 12 years of experience working in the higher education, specializing in management and teaching. His academic qualifications are he has got an MBA from University of Sunderland, UK, and he had, I think his basic degree was in bachelor's in tourism management with honors from University Utara, Malaysia. So welcome, Mr. Puvin. Thank you for being part of this noble task.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Okay, so we have our next panelist, who is a clinical psychologist by profession, and in therapy he primarily uses cognitive behavioral therapy principles as a compass to his work with his clients. On the side, he also subscribes to systems theory approach as a lens in viewing the world of his clients. Work experience professionally, he has previously worked with clients from various settings: university students, awam, community work, private centers, and corporate as well. Through his journey as a therapist, he has well met and journeyed with clients through a multitude of different strugglers: depression, anxiety, grief, stress, relational issues, self-discovery and exploration, and so on. Hello, tell me about you. So tell me what makes, what pains you, what stresses you. Help me understand who, what, where, when, where, how are you, and all the things that have led you to the you now. It's only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. This is a quote from The Little Prince. So thank you very much, Eugene. Can I address you as Eugene?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes.
Thanks
Okay.
for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much, Eugene, for coming along to be again part of this team here, panelists, and we are trying to reach out to the public out there, whoever needs help and whatever little guidance that we can give them. Okay. Thank you so much. So we will go for the questions straight away. So I have a first question to Harry. So what is a mental health nurse or a psychiatric nurse? Is it the same or is it different?
It's the same. We use the words interchangeably, Manjari, a psychiatric nurse or mental health nurse. So basically, the basic training is a nurse. So when you go to the hospital, the nurse takes your blood pressure, your BP, your temperature, and do all the nursing duties. But with my training, I specialize in mental health. So I work in the hospital setting. I would be a name nurse to the people who are admitted in the mental hospital, and I will take care of them. And so our approaches can be anything from CBT to case management and that sort of thing, eclectic. So psychiatric nurses can work both in the hospital and in the community setting. Where people have been discharged and they live out there in their own homes or in a group home, and then us nurses, we case manage and we monitor them. And we assess. In England, you have a lot of referrals from GPs, so you assess people and you um, signpost them to different resources, or you provide an intervention for them. But of late, my career has evolved that to a trainer. As you know, as manager, you train your team, and then I went on to corporate training. Then I became interested in HR, workplace mental health, and that's where I am at this moment in my career, this moment in time. I'm very much interested in mental health at the workplace, because most of us are working adults, and this is where you promote it at the workplace.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Okay. So thank you for that. All right. So I think we will move on to Puvindran. He's known as Puvin, short in short, his name.
Puvin.
So yes, Puvin. So a question to you, please. So why should employers care about their employees' mental health? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Because employees are the asset of the most important asset of an organization, because without the people, the organization will not be able to move forward or put in the ideas or the plans that they have. So it is important to manage that, because if you don't, then that issue is going to become a liability. Your employees who's supposed to be your asset might end up becoming a liability, where they won't be able to perform or at the same time progress in their profession. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Eugene, as a clinical psychologist, would you like to comment on that from your experience?
I think not enough is being said about how important it is to take care of employees' mental health. So while I was researching about this, actually, I came upon this research by Dr. Chua Suk Ning from Relate Malaysia. The research is titled, the topic is basically around the cost of mental health conditions at the workplace. So basically, the research was about how employees, because of their absenteeism, because of low productivity, because they come to work while sick, and because of things like staff turnover, all these different things affect the business cost of the organization itself. So simple things, like when employees' mental health are poor, they may feel like they may feel depressed, anxious. All these things may lead to things like not coming to work, not performing as well at work. And also, the idea of promoting or even celebrating coming to work while you're sick, that can be a bit twisted, I guess. It's not something that you want to promote among employees, because that can be toxic. In the same ways as well, with employees who come in and feeling like mental health is poor, they may feel like they don't have the job satisfaction there, and they may end up looking for a different job. That affects staff turnover as well, and that will increase things like cost for new training as well. So yeah, definitely, taking care of employees' mental health, it goes really, really long ways there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Eugene. Okay, so we will go to the next question. Um, so when we are talking about mental health at workplace, it is like I think when we started off, we had Harry saying that what's the difference between mental health or psychiatrist, nurse, and then Puvin came in and said that at workplace, employees are the asset. Basically, we need to take care of them. And Eugene, I guess, echoed the same thing, right? So how about having this negative impact on an individual's mental health? So what type of negative impact can happen at workplace? Can I go back to Puvin, please?
I think one of the thing is like the environment that is being created in an organization. I think that is one of the things that can actually contribute to a person's mental health. Like, for example, a toxic work environment, or office politics, for example. The need to show yourself as being important, or the need to show to your bosses, for example, that you are able to um, contribute to the work, to the job. At the same time, you might probably have issues with understanding that particular job or the particular task that you have been given. Then when you can't, then you are being you're hurting yourself at that point of time. Like you're telling yourself, no, I can do this, but inside of you, you are actually struggling to understand. So that is where I think what is more important is to ensure that there's support, there's coaching that is in place in organizations to support employees. Okay. Yeah, that's my comment.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Everybody, can you hear me? All right. I think there was a bit of a lag there because of internet problem, I think. I lost Puvin for a while. Okay, it doesn't matter. I think we will still be able to continue. Okay, so now, yeah, so we have been discussing actually the impact of, the mental health issues at workplace and things like that. Would you like to add on anything, Harry, to this?
Yes, I do actually. Actually, the World Health Organization provided 10 categories. Whilst work is a social determinant that can be very good for you. In fact, in my case management of people with enduring mental illness in the community, we encourage them to go to work. Why? Because if you are productive, you improve your economic status, getting out of bed, hitting the shower, getting on the bus to go to work gives you a sense of purpose. And if you complete a little task or a little project, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. So overall, work is good in that it's good for your self-esteem. Yeah, especially when you come from you have a long leave from mental health issues. Say you have MDD, major depressive disorder. So work is good for you, but work is a double-edged sword. On the other hand, there are lots of factors that happen at work that can impact negatively on a person's mental health. For example, long working hours, like Puvi was saying, a toxic work environment, people who are being bullied, people who are not represented at the workplace, not inclusive or not diverse enough, where you have not enough equipment. Remember during the COVID days, I was in Singapore and people were complaining, other countries were complaining there was not enough equipment for the doctors and nurses. Imagine you have to treat people and you need to protect yourself, and your employer did not provide you with the necessary PPE, yeah, personal protective equipment to protect yourself. Those kind of things that can impact. Can you imagine the levels of anxiety of a health professional when the employer did not provide the correct equipment? Lots of things. What else can I say? Being overloaded, being ghosted, those kind of things, those kind of issues, sexual harassment, bullying at work, and also sometimes, the workplace can be an unsafe place for some countries who do not much care for self and health and safety, things like that. So work can impact negatively on a person's mental health, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Harry. Okay, Eugene, can I just get some information from you, because you are in the field as in as a provider, as in treatment provider, right? Um, I think Singapore being a neighboring country, of course, Harry can fill in later. But what do you think are the facilities that we have in Malaysia and Singapore? Like, say, for example, maybe a government body, say if the employer is not providing, I wouldn't say mental health facilities per se, But say for example, if I'm in need of something, maybe I should go and approach somebody. Do we have anything like that in Malaysia? So that means I may want to approach the employer first, but if employer is not giving me, that listening ear or hearing ear, then I'm lost. So I don't know where to go. So can you please throw some light on that, Eugene?
There's quite a bit to say about this one, actually, at least from what I think in the Malaysia part. Can't speak for Singapore, of course. Well, from the clients, at least from my experience, from the clients that I've seen, I feel like in the more recent days, at least, I find more employers starting to pay more attention. They have more awareness on mental health issues, the importance of it. But there are still some who can be pretty clueless about it. Like it really just doesn't cross their minds. So in that case, and also on a side note with how I think with Malaysia, awareness is still in the very early stages. It's still very slowly building. I think people don't talk enough about this. Less needs to be said about employers. With employers, the focus is work. It's very less away, very less being taught, very little is being spoken about beyond that. So when it comes to other things like benefits outside of work, it's more physical rather than a mental health side. For some clients that I've seen, some employers have provided things like a mental health officer at work, so that if there's someone that you really need to talk to, you can go to these people who are trained to provide psychological first aid. But even then, they will still recommend for these people who are in need of help to go look for professional help, be it from NGOs or private organizations who provide therapies like this. So I think from the employer side specifically, in the recent days, sure, I think it's slowly building. Definitely could be faster. But yeah, I don't think enough is being spoken about mental health for now. At least from my experience in Malaysia, yeah.
Yeah, Eugene, yeah, I agree with that. But I think definitely there is a lot more awareness. I think recently it was created, especially during the COVID. Well, people have been given a chance. People were given a chance actually to work from home. Concepts like blended working, all these things came in. So my question was actually very specific. Say for example, if I'm not happy with my employer for some reason, so there's no compromise on work, this is what I'm saying. So I'm putting in effort, there's no compromise on work, but my employer is not responding to me for some reason, which can be a very disappointing or depressing emotion or a feeling at that particular time. Nobody is listening to me, right? So it can affect my mental health, due to which maybe I may not be able to function. If I don't have a job, financially I can't support my family, right? So in this situation, other than, okay, I mean, as a provider, treatment provider, maybe you're helping me with my mental health, but what about financial help? What can I do? Can I go to some organization in Malaysia, like a government organization, where I can approach? I wouldn't say it's a complaint against my employer, but can I reach out and say, I need help? Can I do that?
Actually, as far as from my experience, I'm not very well educated on that matter. For clients that I've seen who have had issues like this, where they just can't get through with their employers, with how much they're struggling at work, I think that becomes how do I put this? Like you mentioned, it becomes a barrier for them to perform at work, and ultimately, for them, it comes to an ultimatum, for them as to whether do I do I just keep pushing myself down this very toxic road, or do I start learning to draw my own boundaries here. What is healthy for me? Do I, do what I can, and whatever I can't, I communicate. And when it comes to a point where it just goes nowhere anymore, maybe it's healthier to look for a different option, to constantly consider, what are my options here? If not this job, can I look for a different job? If this is not enough, what are other things that I could consider, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, Harry, over to you. Would you like to take this question, please?
Yeah, and answer back to your question, Manjari. In Singapore, they are a little bit faster than the Malaysian counterpart because the MOM and the union, the Minister of Manpower, they call it a tripartite. It's three parties. What they have done is they have, in collaboration with the Health Promotion Board, provided mental health training in companies. And actually, I'm one of the corporate trainers. And today I just finished one set of training for a company, right? So the Health Promotion Board is encouraging companies to go through an awareness training to make employers, and there's a specific training for worry, for stress management, and different titles, sleep management, and I've been doing that. And one set of training is for general employees, another set of training are for the managers. And also, I just to add to Eugene's and Puvin's input, one of the greatest barrier in help seeking is actually the stigma surrounding mental health. I have a statistic somewhere, it's not at my fingertips, but of 100 employees who were surveyed, more than 50%, Manjari, more than 50% will not tell their managers that they have a mental health issue because of the barrier of mental illness or mental health or being classified as mad. They don't want to go before fear of losing their job, so they just suffer in silence. So I think to break that barrier, we really have to raise awareness. There's much that Malaysian government or the powers that be can do to first and foremost to raise awareness. And there are many things that a company can do actually to look after their employees' mental health. But Eugene says some of them are clueless. Is that what the word you use, Eugene? They don't think it's important. Puvin said it's human capital. Your employees are your biggest assets. I don't care whether it's the age of artificial intelligence or digital transformation, AI and this and that. At the end of the day, it's the human being, isn't it? Some jobs have gone into automation, but there are still many more jobs that require the human being. So really, employers should make this investment for their employees' mental health. And there's so many that a company can do actually to look after their mental health of their employees at an
Right.
organizational level and at managerial level.
Right.
Many things.
Sure. I agree with you. Thank you for that, Harry. Okay, so now coming back to Puvin. So you are actually in an educational institution as the deputy COO. So do you have like a vision for your institution, or especially with regard to mental health? You have, I guess, students and staff there, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, where we, this is something common for like what Eugene and Harry were saying in Malaysia, is that we do not have a proper policies in organizations when it comes to mental health. How do you manage it? How do you attend to it? For example, we have policies for absenteeism. We have policies for work culture, this and that. But where we fail is that we do not have a proper understanding. Because as managers, for example, if somebody who struggles with mental health comes to me, I might be in a situation where I do not know how to address that particular situation myself. This could be somebody, not probably in the advanced stage, but we are looking at somebody maybe in the very early stage, for example. So we need to have a mental health policy in every organization, to understand how do you address this situation. To me, I think this is the vision, and this is something at NUMET, Newcastle University, we are doing right now. We are setting up these well-being policies. We are addressing the issues of mental health, and to ensure that all our colleagues, all our employees are being taken care of in that area. Now, one of the other things that we are also doing is, for example, all our managers, I mean, those who are in a managerial position who deals with employees on day-to-day basis, we offered to go into a training program. They call it Mental First Aid program. It's done by Malaysian Mental Health Association. It's an accredited program, but it's a very basic program where all what we get is we get an idea of when somebody's we see are struggling, or somebody come talking to us to talk to us to say that they have some mental health issues. How do you address it? Where do you direct them? Where should they go, and things like that? So we have been in a way trained, but it's a very basic training, so that gives you a perspective of how to handle this situation. Yeah, so I think that is what we are looking at. I think that is the vision, and I think that should be what every organization is looking at especially this post COVID era.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, it does make sense. I think if you are doing something like that, definitely your staff, I think, will benefit. Okay, so Eugene, I have a question for you. So again, from your experience, I think you have been dealing with patients or clients, and maybe you would have done some workshops and things like that. Have you come across any organization or a client saying that, I was on the verge of doing something, harming myself or something like that because of some stressful situation at workplace? Would you like to share anything from your experience? How did you manage it? What did you do?
Yes, I've actually met quite a few clients with presenting these kind of issues. I think very often it is due to a gap between between what my client expects from their employers and what their employers expects from them. I think, at least from the clients that I've seen with these issues, very often there's this poorly drawn work-life balance. In a sense, I sign a contract. What I sign up for is to work from 9 to 5, not for my employer to call me at 11 to check on this and that, or to prepare for something at the very last minute to be submitted the next day. And then apart from that, also with a lot of, I think, potentially issues in the very far background that we don't often see. Like, I think in the workplace, what's most visible, what comes most visible are things like productivity, performance issues, things like that. And then sometimes we start looking at things like sexual harassment and so on. But then there's also things that are very deeply rooted, things like the climate in the organization, the culture of the organization, things like racial discrimination, gender inequality, things like this. It also sets up for potentially, how do I put this? Sets up for traps where employees' mental health can really take a dip. Because some of these clients that I've seen, the things that they struggle with are, I work in an organization where it's primarily Chinese people, and I'm Malay. And when I go to work, all my colleagues, they speak in Chinese. And, I struggle to connect with them. And sometimes I feel like I may not be doing enough. And when they start talking in Chinese, I worry that they're talking bad about me, for example. And that in itself, it is not so directly like racial discrimination, but there's a tone for it, basically. So with this in mind, like, so many things can go wrong. So many initiatives can be made to make sure that, you know, the workplace is safe for, it's mental health safe, I guess, basically, simply put. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, so Harry, we will just continue in the same question which I had asked you, Jean. So, do you think we can help the person, you know, other than mental health, um, help treatment part of it? Is there anything else that we can do? Like we can refer the
Of
person
course you
to,
can.
yeah,
Of course
okay.
you can.
Please focus on that. Yeah.
If you are a consulting firm, you may want to look at the model of 8 dimensions of wellness. Okay, I just did a webinar. Somebody asked me actually how do companies, where do I begin? Where do I start? Right. So some of the best practices that we have learned from other companies, big companies, they sometimes use this 8 model of wellness. A person is holistic. We're not just about mental health. We are physical beings. We are spiritual beings. We have our social life. Yeah. So there is this something called the 8 dimensions of wellness, whereby a company can look at these 8 dimensions of wellness and address them, right? So you can use that, and you can also look at what we call the 4-part series, whereby an organization can look at policies and procedures. So this is for the HR. You need to have a robust, like Eugene was saying this, as somebody came to him for sexual harassment, you need to have a robust anti-bullying, anti-harassment policy in your company. Yeah. And then you need to have something called provide a mental well-being services. What is that? That's employee assistance program. Maybe you want to look at health insurance. Say if I go for treatment to my psychiatrist, the health insurance will pay for me, because private psychiatrists are very, very expensive. You know, the ordinary mortal cannot afford it. Then you have to go to government, you have to wait for a long time, you have to take a day off and things like that. So if the company pays for health insurance for mental health, maybe that would help, right? So that's services, policies, and they can also look at resources. They can provide people with resources. What are resources? Self-help things, guides, link. If you have an eating disorder, you may want to contact this person. If you have OCD, you may want to contact that resources. Give them resources. You empower them, and you may also want to increase awareness. Like I go back to the first one, increase awareness, whereby you can organize talks, you can organize events, you can do projects and things like that. And the recommendation is that for some companies to have select a select few or committee member to roll out this initiative. And before you roll out any mental health initiative, I strongly suggest that the team do what we call a pulse survey. Yeah, because no two companies are the same. So there is no one size fit all program that fits everything. So the team that is selected need to do a pulse survey, whereby you ask a few questions, mental health related, to your employees. So what you roll out, the initiative that you roll out is data supported. It's not something that, oh, okay, I think these employees, I think they need this, that, and the other. No. So if you do the survey, form a committee, do a survey. Based on that survey, you roll out all these initiatives. So that's at the organizational level. And there's so much that managers can do. Managers can be trained to be empathetic. Managers can be trained with Eugene and Purwin was saying mental health first aid. They can be trained to listen without judgment. And they can. It's all about training. And to give them a guideline on where to direct their employees should their employees have a mental health issue. So it's all about training. Actually, it's not rocket science. It's not a difficult thing. It's a long path, but we we have to start somewhere. I mean, we put a man on the moon. We've gone to space. surely we can train. Rubin is he's smiling. We can train managers and organizations to do this.
Sure. Thanks for that, Harry. I think, yeah, I totally agree with you. But I mean, I think just going back to what Eugene said and Puvin also said earlier, well, I think the racial discrimination is there everywhere. I think it's a problem across the board. You know, it's a global problem. It's not just in Malaysia, I guess. In all the countries, I think it is there, but in different ways. You know, but I think a lot depends on individuals' coping skills, basically, how the person copes with the whole thing. So, when it comes to mental health and the help that is available out there, and I think it is applicable to everybody, you know. Well, we do have issues. I think, you know, when I do my workshops also, I see this. I'm not generalizing, but in certain corporate companies and things like that, you know, people have said, you know, the communication is just one way, although it's supposed to be two-way communication. It just goes from top to bottom, but from bottom to our top, it doesn't go. So if there is a problem, I think it's not just if I'm the employee, it's not just the employee, but the employer also needs help, because it's a two-way process, right? But I don't know how many companies are doing this, how many corporate bodies are doing this, right? So I have a question, Puvin. In your experience, have you come across like any companies in Malaysia who are already practicing this thing called a specific leave for mental health problems in your experience? Please share with us.
I do not know specifically if the companies that has been doing that, but I think like from my personal experience, I think we do have like what we call as uh, it doesn't come into your annual leave or something like that. When we understand someone has been struggling with something, or probably they need a certain time of comfort, then we do have opportunities for them to actually take a leave without any questions. Okay, take a leave and stay away from work for some time, and then they can come back. But I think the whole idea of having a mental health leave is still very new concept in Malaysia, and I'm not sure if we have been practicing that. But I think one of the other things that we want to highlight is that I think the insurance, Harry was mentioning about that. I mean, these are like one of the areas that we are actually looking at this moment of time. I think in the market, you do not have a lot of companies who are actually offering such insurance as well. I mean, that is still new. But what we are also trying to look into is that and to include that as part of the policy in NUMED, in Newcastle University, is that people get allocation for mental health treatments, for example. I mean, on top of them having their regular uh, allocation for general practitioners, they do have a certain allocation very specific for mental health treatments as well. I mean, this is coming up. This is a plan in the pipeline, and it's probably, I mean, if all goes well, it's going to be happening very soon over at NUMED. I mean, these are the commitments that I think companies or organizations need to make to employees, because it's like what Harry and Eugene were saying. This is something that has been put into the back of the mind for many organizations, because we always I do not want to use this word, but to me it's like taking it for granted, or I mean, he's not happy, he leave, or she's not happy, she finds a new job. These are the things that is happening. But instead, it should be a way that once the employees are there, we should be having all the right processes and policies to support, especially when it comes to onboarding. A new employee comes into the organization, how do this person, I mean, all the while we tend to, okay, this is your desk, go do your job, but how do we onboard this person? How do we get this person to get familiar with the tasks or the job? Is there a mentoring program? Is there a coaching program? And all this, I think, supports the mental health well-being of an individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true, Puvin. Totally agree with you. Well, I mean, I think I still would like to reiterate that it has to be a two-way process. I can't just say that, oh, I have a problem, so like what Puvin said, I want to leave. But it's going to be there everywhere, right? Which means, on my part, it has to be something like adapting the situation right? Adapting to a particular company, to a situation. If I'm not able to do, I don't know if I can do to another organization or a company. So I think insurance, yes, I remember seeing just few days back, I think AIA is offering
Mm.
for inpatient, for depression, I think, for
Mental
bipolar or
health is
schizophrenia.
yeah, it's for mental health. They're doing it
Yes,
for
yes,
mental health. So far, it's
yeah,
only AIA.
AIA,
I was
yeah,
about to say AIA.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember earlier, even in my clinical practice, earlier it was Singapore, I think Medisave, if I'm not mistaken, but also was for inpatient, and outpatient benefits not yet. Okay, so I think we have a person here, Miss Raji Rajaratnam from the audience. Miss Raji, would you like to say something? I can see your comments here. Would you like
Oh,
to say
yes.
something?
Hi. Good
Hi, hi.
evening. I'm
Good
Raji,
evening.
President of Rotary Club of Malawati.
I can't see
And
you.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Manjari,
I
can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes, I can't
Yes.
see you though. Yeah.
Do excuse me. I'm not in a situation to
All
expose
right.
myself.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, right. Now, I run an engineering college. It's our own college. We've been on for about 20 years now. Mental health, of course, from all the talks that we heard, on a lighter note, I must say, it might sound humorous. It's not just the staff who go through mental health. Sometimes employers do get mental health with this behavior of staff, but that's besides the point, yeah. Now, what we do at our college, I have about 35 staff, ranging from lecturers to people who have been skilled and trained in engineering. So different walks of life and different races. There is a problem, especially in engineering, because it's a highly skilled precision engineering is what we do. So what we have done to overcome this problem, because especially young ladies, young mothers who have just delivered, the stress they go through, the hormonal imbalance, and sometimes they're going through marital problems, they are not able to function. So what I had introduced some time ago, which I then introduced to Rotary Club as well, is the buddy system. We always pair people or give them a buddy when they start. So in the event somebody is going through a depression, or you can see in the way they're behaving, their work, the outcome, no point trying to push them to get productivity, because you might actually break that person. This is where the buddy comes in to go out for a drink or lunch and find out what is wrong. And yes, I do promote and ask these kind of staff to go on leave, even if it means they want to take annual leave or medical leave, so that they can sort out. But I only fear one thing, Manjari. When you give them leave, they're at home, they're not able to handle the situation. It worsens. By coming to work, like just now somebody rightfully said, by coming to work, they actually sort of, there is a external intervention. Their mind is brought to a lighter sense. They look at other things and enjoy a little bit of distraction. So there are pros and cons about giving leave. And to talk about insurance and referring them to psychologists, I had spoken to one recently married staff who just outright asked me, "Do you think I'm a mental patient, madam?" You see what I mean? Especially our Asian society, the word shrink that is so commonly used in the Western world is frowned upon in our countries, in Asian countries. So it is a very delicate area and a very thin line. So we as employers have to be very careful, but to do not discount the fact that staffs do need the attention from employers in whichever way we can. Thanks, Manjari. That's all I had to say.
All right. Thank you, Miss Rotarian Raji Ratnam. All right. Okay. So we will continue with our questions. If you have anything to add on from the audience, please put it in the chat and we will pick it up from there. Okay. So the next question. All right. So I think I will go back to Harry. Harry, what about, have you heard of this term EDI? equality,
and
equality,
diversity.
yes. What are your
Equality
thoughts?
and
Yes,
diversity.
and inclusion. What are your thoughts on this? Have you heard
Okay.
about it?
In 2018, I was headhunted. I was in Sungai Petani, and I got a job. I went back to Singapore, and I worked for an NGO that offered mental health services to the general public. The special bit about this NGO is that 30% of our employees have a diagnosed mental health issue. 30%. Everyone has MDD, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. A couple of them have bipolar disorder. Yeah. So if that's not diversity and inclusivity, I don't know what is. And I was very proud. I was quite proud to be a part of that organization. So what I put in place for them is that we have what we call a wellness plan. So one of the secretary, actually, she has MDD. So what I devised, what I did was I formulated, it's a nursing process. We identified her triggers. We identified how would your manager know that you're becoming unwell? And what do you want us to do when you become unwell? So all of this, Manjari, is in a piece of paper, is documentation. So we work out a care plan. This is just a nursing process, a plan of care on what will happen if he becomes unwell, what makes him unwell, and what do we need to do, and what does he need. So this is documented. The employee has a copy, the line manager has a copy, HR has a copy, signed, and it's PNC. Yeah. So people who are afraid of employing people with mental illness, mad people are, they are very, very ill-informed. In my so many years of work, I have had accountants, people with OCD, people with bipolar. I had somebody with OCD who is a biology teacher for a very, very long time, but she manages it very well. So there is a misconception that people with mental illness are aggressive, dangerous, unproductive. Nothing is further from the truth. They can be productive people who work and contribute to the community. Yeah, so
Okay,
that's what
all right.
I'm advocating.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Harry, for that. Okay, so Puvin, I guess the same question to you, but I think I would like to look at it from a different perspective. I think what Harry shared with us is that providing equal opportunities for physically or mentally or psychologically challenged individuals. I think that's what she was trying to explain just now. Well, if you're looking at it from a different perspective, the EDI part of it, well, it can be the benefits, the facilities, the hierarchy, the promotion, the salary. It can be looked at that particular EDI concept from different perspectives. So if we leave the mental health, equal opportunities, employment, all that, so can we focus on the other perspective, Puvin? From your experience, um, how much of this EDI is generally happening in Malaysia? Because I think you have enough experience to talk about it in companies.
I think, I
Okay.
mean, we are so used to that cultural or race-based organization in most organizations in Malaysia. I think Eugene was saying where if you go to a certain organization, you have people who are from a certain background, and then probably the rest are in a very small number. All right. So this is something that is very common in Malaysia at this moment of time, and I'm not sure if this is going to change anytime soon. All right, but when it comes to EDI, I think the understanding is that every individual has the capabilities of doing a certain job, a role. This is where we fail. What we do is that there is this branding, okay, or this job, it's only can be done by this particular individual or somebody from this particular background. I think organizations have to come out, step out of that particular belief that I can only refer to this person when it comes to this kind of information, you know. So what we need to do is we need to come out from that, and we need to see whether we are able to adopt an individual based on the present qualification, whether this person can do the job or cannot do the job based on, you know, interviewing and so on and so forth, rather than on a particular stigma. All right, if the person looks like this, then we should avoid this person. If a person has this particular background, then we should avoid. I mean, that is something that we create because of, I'm not sure, because of our past experience, because of our history. It could be anything else. But then this is what we need to understand, because one other thing is that when it comes to Malaysia, I think we need to be a little bit more culturally sensitive, because we are a very multiracial background, and there are also, you know, things related to race and religion. There's certain sensitivities there. So as long as we are not going into that particular sensitive issues, I think we should be able to open a position or a role to anyone, regardless of what kind of background they're coming from. All right, what we need to do is just go through the assessment process, you know, interview that person or reference check and so on and so forth. I think like what Harry was saying, I mean, if there are organizations able to employ people with known mental health issues, and then what are the other issues that you have? I mean, that should not be a question at all.
Okay.
So, I mean, EDI to me, I think it's about being fair. I mean, a fair treatment to everyone, and then opportunities to everyone. I think, like it or not, all of us have to work at this moment of time. I think most of us, I think 90% of us have to have a job in order to sustain. So that opportunity must be given to everyone, regardless of what the background of that person is.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Puvin. Yeah, very true. But well, I mean, hopefully one day we will be able to achieve that. You know, it is definitely a problem,
It's a
which I
dream at
think
this moment.
it's a
Yeah.
dream, and it's a dream. Yes, I agree. I think all of us are aware of this. We know, you know, but and I don't know. This is again from my experience that I'm sharing. You know, a lot of workshops are done, and at the end of the day, I have this thing in my head. You know, my head is something wrong, I guess. You know, I'll be like, you are, you know, say you are calling me again and again to do a workshop, and every year I go and do a workshop, but it's the same problem again and again. It's happening, and things are not things are not changing. You know, we are not moving forward. Okay, so if you look at it that way, yes, I'm getting my consultation charges or whatever, and I just have to be happy with it, and I just say, okay, thank you so much. But no, this is not what we are looking for, right? We want changes to happen. We want better things to happen. We want everybody to be happy. And our main idea is people are happy. They don't take drastic measures. You know, we can avoid with the topic that we are talking about today, you know, the suicide and things like that. And we can save lives. So at the end of the day, people have to be happy. I'll just take a pause here, ask Chia, Chia, how much time do I have? 5 minutes more?
You have 10 minutes for the Q&A.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So can I go with the next question for Eugene? Eugene, you are in you know, treatment provider's role right now, right? So what is your understanding of work-life balance or imbalance? How do you deal with it?
Speaking in context for my clients who are employees and dealing with their employers, I think very often communication is important. Communicating what am I, what have I signed up for, what have we agreed upon, what can I do, what can I not do, rather than not having these expectations met, you know. When my employer expects of me to do these things and I'm not able to live up to it, when there's no communication to bridge these two elements, it's very stressful for both parties. And I think when that becomes the case, no one's happy. You know, employers expect so much more and they get disappointed. Employees stress themselves so much more trying to live up to these expectations, but it's apparently never enough, So I think first and foremost, communication is important. Another is also to understand what is, how do I put this? Personally from the employer side and also personally from the employee side, what do you need? What can you give? What can't you give? When you are aware of all these things, then you communicate that. It becomes it smoothens the process, so to speak. If I can tell my employer, yes, what I signed up for is to work from 9 to 5, and after that, basically I'm already off working hours. And what I would really appreciate is to be able to spend, dinner time with my family. If you expect more from me after that, I can entertain after my dinner time with my family. So with that in mind, it doesn't strictly have to be just what's being agreed upon in the contract, but to also communicate what can I give more to you, what can I provide for you. In return, this is what I'm asking for. Just give me this alone time with my family. And after that, I can come and help you with your work, basically. So with all these very much more intricate details, I think people very often don't pay enough attention to, I need this time, then I can help you with something else. Or employers could, this is what I need. The rest, maybe you can prioritize this and drop other things for now. These very minute details, I think, when being communicated, can really help with drawing work-life balance, drawing a good boundary for work-life balance. Yeah.
Okay, Harry, so how do you manage your work-life balance?
I have very strict boundaries. In UK, when you're on annual leave, it is actually illegal for your boss to email you or to phone you. Illegal. And for me, because of the nature of my work, especially in the hospital setting, when I first qualified, I work in an acute admission ward. Very, very stressful, very, very volatile. So it's very important. We were trained at a very earlier part of our training to take care of ourselves. Self-care, yeah, manage your stress level. Unfortunately, in UK, there's a very rich drinking culture. So the, the coping with stress is via alcohol. But for me, my stress management is I set boundaries. I set very clear boundaries, and I have walked out from jobs where I don't feel valued before in the past, and those kinds of that. And that's what I teach people: set clear boundaries on what people can and cannot do to you and for you, and then take care of yourself. You have to take care of number one, especially with Eugene, myself, and to a certain extent Puvin. We help other people, and I always believe that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You really need to take care of yourself first before you take care of others. I don't know whether Eugene will agree with me. So I'm very careful with that. That's why I can, I'm still in the industry after over 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Harry.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. All right. So I have a very interesting question here. Puvin, so what type of a leader can understand his or her employees the best? What type of a leader you think can understand?
Yeah, from my background, because I think because in the management role at this moment of time, but I did not start off as a manager from day one, because I started from the bottom, and then over the years you reach where you are right now. So I think what every employers have to understand, which again from my observation is lacking in most organizations at this moment of time, is that the moment you become someone who's superior to people, you tend to have that I mean, it probably comes from ego, or probably it comes from stress, or even mental health. You have that god-like figure, I'm the boss kind of thing. But what we don't understand is that I mean, it's not about, I went through this, you have to go through this as well, because different people have different way of learning and being where they are right now. So to me, I think like for example, what I do is that I'll try to always understand them from their point of view. You will have to create that space, that trust, that to the employees, that they can actually come in and sit down and give you an idea, and you're able to listen to them, rather than you saying, no, I think you should be listening to my idea, I have a better idea. I think a lot of employees, I think it's probably a stress in order to showcase themselves as being um, eligible for that particular position. We tend to do what, no, no, this is how you should be doing things, and we shut down people all the time. I think, to me, I personally believe that you have to put yourself in herself or himself, their in their situation, and then you try to understand them, putting them, the common saying is that put yourself in someone else's shoes. I think that's what we need to do, so that you give them the opportunity. It's not just about you being a superior. When do they become a superior? I know if they have that kind of goals or dreams in their life, we should be giving them that allowances, give them the credit, and then they will then grow out from there. So I think a manager who supports, who consider himself or herself as a working class as well, is the person who I think can what I think you should be.
Okay. Well, I think a leader can be a good person and a great person. I think there is definitely a lot of difference between a good leader and a great leader. But
But
I
I
think,
always tell myself, if you're not there's no good leader or a bad leader. There's a leader is you must be a leader. I mean, whatever characteristics that comes with that,
yes,
you there's no such thing as a good leader or bad leader. I mean, this is just my point of view.
sure,
I mean, you
sure.
can be a good manager or a bad manager, but if you're a leader, then you should be an example. You should be somebody who's able to portray yourself in such a way.
Yeah, thank you so much, Puvin, for that. I just want to read out what Rotarian Raji has said here. Bosses who have climbed up the ladder should be more understanding as they have been there before. Yeah, true, very true, Rotarian Raji. But I think, unfortunately, it doesn't happen always. This is, I think, it's the same. Proverb, I think, that goes, this is typical mother-in-law daughter-in-law type of a story, I guess. Mother-in-law will say, like, I went through this, my mother-in-law did this, so you also have to go through this. So this is typically, I think, that story that is applicable here, maybe. But yeah, hopefully one day things will change. Okay, so I think, Chia, can I just have one last question?
Go ahead, go ahead.
All right.
You have
Okay.
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so um Harry, this is for you. Um, how would you describe a happy job? Is there a happy job, where people can be happy all the time?
I think I can only speak from my personal experience. If you jump out of bed and you tear your pajamas and you hit the shower and you can't wait to go to work, you can't wait to go to work, you can't wait to go and see your work colleagues. I think that is when you are happy. And sometimes you interview people who have stayed in jobs for a long time. They find one of the common denominator is that when they have autonomy, when they feel valued and they have a lot of autonomy. Yeah, for me personally, if I'm very enthusiastic, the minute you say, oh my God, do I have to do this? Oh no, tomorrow is Monday and then you have anxiety problems. The minute you feel like that, then you should leave, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Very,
Mm.
very true. I agree with you 100%. I think, yeah. So again, yeah, I agree, because I do have patients and, people coming and saying that, oh, Monday morning, from Sunday evening,
Mm.
they start to feel anxious.
Anxious.
But by Friday afternoon, they are happy, because Saturday, Sunday is coming. But Sunday evening again comes, it's like, oh my God, I have to go back to work. But
Yes.
yeah, so I think what we are trying to say here is, work salary is on one side, but whether you want to do that or not is on another side. Whether you're passionate about your work. So is it the paycheck that gives you the happiness, or there is something else that gives you the happiness? I think
For me, it's autonomy. The paycheck doesn't matter so much. It's secondary.
Right.
Well, you need money. Money
Yeah.
buys you goods and services.
Sure.
Let's not argue about that, but there's more, there's more to, to life than money, isn't it? There's
Sure.
whether you feel valued at work, you are part of the team and you're listened to, and those
Yeah.
kind of things, autonomy, those kind of things is important to me at this stage.
True. Very true.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think just to add, along those lines, personally, even for me, I think my work is something I'm so passionate about, right? So if my patient turns around and says thank you, that I think that matters a lot than how much consultation fees the person actually gave you. This is me, okay? And I think I get motivated by my patients. I'm really learning so much from them, and I'm always grateful. I'm so thankful to them for teaching me whatever I learned at the university. The subject matter, that is totally different, but what I'm learning from them, I think that is totally different. That is, I think, what gives me that happiness and that happy
Yeah.
job, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think, we have come to the end of the session. Chia, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Aline,
Okay.
Yes,
All
that's
right.
correct.
Okay.
Good. Thanks,
So
Manjari.
thank you so much. Over to you, Aline.
Thank you. Yeah. So I have heard and feel the joyfulness of Harry and also Manjari about talking about her work. So probably with that, I'm a little bit greedy here. I would like to know from the participants. Let's see our Mentimeter. So our tag team, please get ready the Mentimeter. So there's a question I would like to know from the participants. So the question is, just to let everyone knows, we will post out the Mentimeter on the screen or probably on the chat box. So please click on the chat box and then you can type in, yes, you can type in your wordings, yeah? So the question here is, does your job bring you joy or paycheck or bread and butter or satisfaction? So participants, please help me and share me your, what is your choice here? Cool, I have satisfaction. Any more? Wow, I have happiness coming in. What else? Satisfaction. Any more? Let's see. Oh, I have paycheck. Good. Joy. What else? Oh, I have this paycheck and joyful at the same time. Okay. So I will just close the Mentimeter for now. Great. So thank you participants for sharing your thought on these questions. We have heard a lot from our panelists sharing about their thoughts, their experience. So with that, the talk of the night has come to an end. So, but don't go yet. I would like to share you information of our care lines. So sometimes we might not be there for our loved one, for our friends. So let's pull out the care lines. So please feel free to capture this screen, and then you are always welcome to share this to your friend. So if anyone need anybody to talk to at any time, so these are the care lines that they can reach out. Yeah. So do take a photo screen or print screen. Super. So with that, I would like to bring our Datuk Bindi. Are you there? So if Dato Bindi are there, I would like you to say a few words.
It's IPP Mahindran on
Oh,
doing
okay.
on behalf.
So, all right, good. So IPP Mahindran, get ready. Let's bring him. Oh, he's already shining up. So pass the session over to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think it was an amazing topic that we actually spoke about. Many years ago, somebody told me the definition of job. Job means just over broke. Yeah. So it all depends whether, it drives you. Are you driven by joy? Are you driven by passion? Are you driven by the money? Are you driven by the people that you want to see? Are you driven by your accomplishment and what you want to do? So the thing is, it is all different for each and every one of us and things like that. But the challenging part now, I think, which was shared by all our speakers today, is because the goalpost for the workplace has changed. People are working in their bedroom. People are working in their washroom. Yeah. The time, like Eugene said, my boss can call me or somebody's boss can call them anytime to work. Time has changed. The place has changed. Yeah. The work itself has changed. The amount of work you have to do because someone would have left, someone didn't turn up, and you got to do so much more. So what happens is, it's like now we're expecting a blunt knife to cut much sharper, which is not going to happen. Yeah, productivity is already at stake. So I think it was amazing that we actually had Harry. Yeah, Harry has got 20 years of healthcare. She actually brought all her knowledge and experience from abroad as well. And we had Eugene, who was also sharing all his therapy experience and case studies of Malaysians who are actually going through the kind of mental health stress that we are having now. And we also had Povin, the one from management. So we actually had all corners covered. And the gatekeeper was our Manjari herself, because she's got a bit of everything that she's doing now. And we actually gave, in fact, the amount of information and how to go about, because you see, as Asians, I think many of us, we all suffer in silence. We will not put up our hand and say, yes, I have mental health. Can I see someone? It's a taboo. You can't say the word psychology because you'll be deemed you have some form of, mental health problem, and then, stuff like that. So we are still very, the maturity in our society has not been there yet. And I think we are doing so much from the bottom itself. We need the awareness to be actually expedited from top level. I mean, we need the government to play a big role. We need companies to actually come up to say, adopt policies, do some changes, and, to say, and Manjari said it also, like I said, it takes two to tango, right, Manjari? You got to get both the employees and the employers to be able to communicate together. I think in the audience, we saw employees. I think I saw a lot of people who are employees, who are employers, right? And who are professionals as well. So we are able to see different perspective of the entire topic that we spoke about today. And I think as individuals, if we can go and say, and we can put up the hand and say, help, I need help. But then again, how do I manage the cost of seeking some form of help? Where do I go? And I think we also put up all the care lines, and it affects your self-esteem. Yeah. So I think the speakers today, you shared so much. We are so happy that we actually brought you in. It is a pity, I would say, for whoever didn't turn up today. Yeah, because what you have shared today, it has brought some changes to us, and because we will definitely go and talk to others and stuff like that. We will also share the recording. With that, I would like to thank our speakers. Yeah, this is our certificate of appreciation to Puvin. Thank you so much for your time and all your sharing. Harry, you were awesome. And Eugene, you are fantastic too. And I would thank you all for your time and your participation today. Thank you so much. And back to you, Eileen.
Thank you. The awesome Mahindran has just thanked our speakers and so wellly. So with that, as Mahindran just mentioned, awareness has to be continued. So our show will be continued. And Mahindra also say that awareness have to come from the top or the bigger authority space. So with that, we are thanks to Rotary, the Rotary NGO Service Club, for continue taking this show on every third Thursday of the month. So with that, I would like to share with everyone here the next third Thursday talk on December is getting ready. So what we're going to share more is about this road to recovery, suicide prevention, and especially cover on family and relationship. So we already have one speaker on the line, and along the way, we're going to have another surprise speakers joining us soon. So please mark the date. It's on 22nd December at 8 p.m. Again, is on Zoom Talk. So capture this screen, block your calendars, and we hope to see you again. So thank you, everyone. The talk for tonight have come to the end. So have a great night and see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.